So what is good guys, Adnan here. I've been using the Poco X2 since the past 4 months, and here is how my usage with this sub 20k device has panned out. Before I talk in depth about my experience with the Poco X2, let's have a pretext. So I've been a OnePlus user since the past 5 years and I've absolutely loved every bit of all the phones that I've owned. The phone I was using before I got the X2 was the OnePlus 5, an exceptionally good performing device with clean software, but one that had a design that was outdated in the very year I bought it. So it was natural of me wanting to upgrade to a phone with a bezel-less display and all the new quirks, but I just couldn't justify spending over 60k on another OnePlus phone, seeing as how I never cared too much about all the cameras or gaming performance in the phones I've used. So lo and behold, I entered March of 2020 with this phone, an exceptionally good buy at 15,000 rupees. The very first thing I noticed after having unboxed the Poco X2 was a gigantic footprint of the phone. Not only did the massive 6.67-inch display absolutely shadow the one on my OnePlus 5, but the phone itself was significantly taller and heavier. The proportions of the Poco X2 are something that I still haven't gotten accustomed to, even after all these months of using it. I just wish this phone was a tad bit smaller and more pocketable. The glass build sandwiching the device also makes it quite heavy, especially while using it one-handedly. This is also the reason why I was never able to use the case that came with the phone for more than a few days at a stretch and instead decided to cover the back up with a skin. This is the Black Panther skin by Capes India for those wondering, and while they didn't sponsor this video, I've been using their skins for a couple of years now and would highly recommend them if you wanted a way to protect your device without enclosing it inside of a case. Everything else about the hardware on the X2 is to the point. The buttons are tactile and the side-mounted fingerprint scanner is faster and more accurate than the in-display scanners, which I'm glad they skipped on this phone. What I definitely noticed and instantly grew repulsive of was the bad vibration motor, and coming from my OnePlus 5, which I admit was the flagship offering from the company, I still do wish every phone in existence had a decent vibration motor inside. Anyways, now that I had the in-hand feel of the X2 sorted out, the next problem and also the most difficult one to tackle was for me to get used to MIUI, which, spoiler alert, I never did. I tried my best to live with MIUI, disabling all the ads, removing or hiding any of the Mi apps I never used, but all to no avail. I finally gave in, unlocked the bootloader and started trying out custom ROMs. But even that didn't go as smooth as I had hoped it to. Not only was unlocking the phone's bootloader a huge pain in the ass, but almost every custom ROM I tried had either the fingerprint scanner acting up and failing to work 50% of the times or just had terrible battery drain issues. Thankfully, I settled with this ROM. This is the Evolution X for the Poco X2, the only ROM I found so far that has everything working almost flawlessly. Yes, there is a noticeable difference in the battery life coming from MIUI, but if I had to pick between an extra charge every now and then or clean software, you know where I'd put my money at. I might make a separate review of Evolution X, but for now, I'm loving the stock pixel look and the added benefits that come in the form of features with a custom ROM. I did encounter a couple of forced closes and random reboots in my 1 month with the ROM, but that's a small price to pay for being able to enjoy stock Android on this big, vibrant 120Hz display. Switching from the worst part about the phone to easily its best, that 120Hz display. If you would have asked me if I would pick a 60Hz AMOLED or a 90 or 120Hz LCD before I got this phone, my answer would very likely have been AMOLED, but oh boy had I never been so wrong in my life before. I knew from the moment I made my first scroll on this display that a higher refresh rate outweighs any other quality by a huge measure. Now that's not to say that the LCD on the Poco X2 is bad, on the contrary, it is one of the best I've used. The colors are vibrant, the panel gets plenty bright even in sunlight, and it is just something I got used to after almost 3 years of using AMOLED displays. So yeah, the next time you get to choose between a device that has a higher refresh rate display and one which does not, pick the former and future-proof yourself for the coming years. The dual cutout notch at the top of this phone has never quite bothered me to this day, and if you are afraid to make the switch to a display which has holes in it, don't be. Inside the Poco X2 is the Snapdragon 730G. Pair that with 6GB of RAM and you get a phone that will easily get you through any task you throw at it. Multitasking is a breeze, launching of apps is almost instantaneous, and gaming performance is also fantastic, although I never really game that much on my phone. The only hiccups I could notice were the constant frame drops while I was still using MIUI. I think it's fair to assume by now that MIUI is the biggest bottleneck for this rather powerful and beautiful device. I know flashing a custom software on phones isn't something everybody wants to do, but if you really want the best experience, I would highly suggest you to do so anyway. Most of my day-to-day usage with my phone involves opening up Twitter and scrolling down tweets, switching to Instagram and gazing at the Explore section, launching YouTube and watching videos, and at last, vigorously switching between all these apps. If a phone can handle for me all of that without breaking a sweat, it goes in my pocket, and the Poco X2 definitely does. Battery life, as mentioned before, has been worse than usual for me thanks to my choice of running a custom ROM, but even at its worst, the Poco X2 delivers 5 to 6 hours of screen on time, which is definitely usable. To top it all off, you get a 27-watt fast charger in the box which juices this bad boy up in no time. So yeah, as far as performance and battery life is concerned, I think I'm comfortably set for the next year or so. I dragged the camera talk till the very end because quite honestly, I've never cared too much about how the photos I take with my phone turn out. Mostly because almost every smartphone camera in existence is a decently good shooter. I don't consider myself experienced enough to accurately talk about the camera performance of a phone and would suggest you to look elsewhere if that is your biggest priority in buying one. All I can say that the Poco X2 snaps some really good looking and usable photos. While there are like 20 different cameras on this phone, I only ever use the primary shooter and the ultra wide, both of which are more than satisfactory in my accordance and also share a similar color science. What I do use quite a lot is Snapchat and hence the front-facing camera. As much as I don't understand why you need an additional depth sensing camera when phones nowadays have software powerful enough to fake bokeh with a single lens, I just like the selfies that come out of the Poco X2. Wrapping things up, I have been loving my time with the Poco X2. The display is overwhelmingly great, the performance is unparalleled in this price segment, and the workaround in the software is something I can surely live with. Do I miss the OnePlus experience, specifically Oxygen OS? Yes, but at the same time I just don't see myself dropping half a lakh on a phone that I only ever use so much of. That's been it, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.